And welcome to ABC 24 This Week. I'm Brad Broders, filling in this week for Richard Ransom. This last Sunday before Election Day followed another busy week in local politics. Plenty to get to, Otis.
Oh, no question about it, Brad. You know, from a major leadership decision to the final stretch before the polls closed Tuesday night to more issues at the Shelby County Clerk's office, this past week there's no exception to plenty of fresh headlines.
Here's the topics we'll dive into this week. First, MLGW under new leadership after the Memphis City Council votes in the city's chief operating officer to become the next president of the utility. We'll break down Doug McGowen's goals and customer expectations. Plus, Election Day is Tuesday. For those who didn't cast an early ballot, we'll examine the major races of interest in the Mid-South. And more drama at the Shelby County Clerk's office as a long-delayed office location doesn't open as scheduled this week, and that led to plenty of finger-pointing between the Shelby County Mayor's office and Clerk Wanda Halbert. We'll take a deeper dive. But let me first introduce you to our panel. As always, we're joined by ABC 24 political analyst Otis Sanford and friends of the program, former Shelby County GOP Chair Chris Tudor and former Memphis School Board member and Memphis City Council member TaJuan Stout Mitchell. Thanks for all of you for joining us today. And let's start with the new leadership atop MLGW that serves more than 400,000 customers and is still reeling from the fallout of lengthy outages the past two winters that left plenty of us in the dark without light or heat for days. Now, Tuesday, Doug McGowen, the city's chief operating officer, received a standing ovation after a 12-1 vote Tuesday by the Memphis City Council to become MLGW's next president and CEO. McGowen replaces J.T. Young, who left last month to take a job in Florida. McGowen promised on the first year on the job for swift improvements to improve reliability and customer service.
Change doesn't come for free. We have to make sure that we have the resources necessary to get the job done, but we have to be sensitive to the customers' needs. And that's what I said. My number one priority is to make sure that we earn our customers' business each and every day. That comes with a lot of requirements. I have to be sensitive to their needs. I have to make sure I have the capacity to serve their needs.
And Otis, we'll start with you. What's your take on this selection for the Memphis City Council? There was some talk about maybe a national search that was scrapped. They kept it in-house with the city. What's your take on this selection?
Well, I mean, my number one take obviously is that the mayor got his way. A 12-1 vote. The clip you just showed with the standing ovation, even the one person who voted against him, Martavius Jones, stood up and gave him a standing ovation. Jones could only take this stalling so far. He was the one that was calling for a national search. I think that was more inside politics than anything else going on there. The mayor knew he had the votes from the very beginning, and so it was clear that when the final votes were taken, he was going to have a huge majority, and that's exactly what he did.
And TaJuan, is there anything specific you'd like to see or hope to see done differently when Doug McGowen takes over as CEO?
First of all, I'd like to congratulate him and say that his success will be our success as ratepayers. And the mayor finally got somebody who he feels will carry out some of the initiatives that he wanted. The mayor has long asked the last president to work on street lighting with LED lights for all over the city and in certain crime-ridden areas. And that project was slow to get done. The mayor really wanted a customer service improved, and that was slow to get done. I assume that he wants his projects finished, and he sent someone over there he felt could do it. The big news for me is that the first woman for COO was a part of this decision-making for the city of Memphis. She is the first woman of any color to be the COO.
And TaJuan, yes, Shandell Ryan certainly got a standing ovation in addition to Doug McGowen as well. Thanks for pointing that out. Chris, a major vote is planned November 16th when the MLGW board is scheduled to vote on TVA being the power supplier for at least the next 25 years. Doug McGowen probably taking over December 1st. Around there, so he probably won't be officially president or CEO. What do you make maybe of what the MLGW board should do with new leadership coming in, taking up a recommendation by Doug McGowen's predecessor, J.T. Young?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows what's going to happen yet. I'm excited for Doug McGowen. He's a competent administrator, and we have a luxury in Memphis, which is one of the largest consolidated public utilities in the United States. And it's not perfect. Obviously, there are a lot of problems. TaJuan brought some of those up, but hopefully this will be addressed. It's a huge responsibility, but I fully expect that he will do a good job. And I was happy to see some unity from the mayor and the city council in the appointment.
And Otis, we talked. The timeline's a little curious here. You know, maybe we don't know exactly. Mayor told me on Friday, probably around December 1st. But this is a huge decision for the future of the community. What's your take on how this might proceed in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you how I think it should proceed. I think the board, the MLGW board, should delay a decision until Doug McGowen is on board. I haven't heard from Doug McGowen about exactly how he feels about such a long contract with the TVA. And I think he needs to come out and say that even before he takes over. But I just think it's incumbent upon this board to show a little bit of deference to someone who's taking over as the top guy, to just delay that at least until he gets on board and can figure out what's going on over there. I think to do it now before he gets there, I think it sets up a bad precedent there.
Yeah, and I was there, Otis, the other day when reporters did ask, what's your take? Do you agree with that recommendation? And he said at this point it was too early to comment. So, TaJuan,
right.
what do you think about the timing of this, kind of bouncing off what Chris and Otis said about this major power supplier decision and a new president coming in?
Well, I would love to see the new president have some input on that decision, but I'm not naive here politically. I think the mayor, the chairman of the board, and Doug McGowen have all talked, and they agree on proceeding. And this gives Doug McGowen a way of not being in that battle, but he will have to advocate for the position of the board to the city council. I wouldn't get so hung up on that because it still goes before the city council.
And Chris, a lot of talk about customer service, reliability as a customer. What would anything you'd like to see, or Doug McGowen, it kind of has the skill set to do when it comes to customer service, reliability, kind of taking a new look at the utility?
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do. Responsiveness times. I mean, you cited an example. There's infrastructure improvements that need to be made. There's a ton of work and a ton of money that needs to be spent. And it looks like we have somebody who is very competent, very technocratic, and who's going to do his best to get the job done, which is what we need.
Got it. And Otis,
Yeah,
I mean, the last two winters, we know it's been pretty significant. Doug McGowen obviously ran the COVID response here locally. What do you make of his background in leadership in the Navy? What do you make just kind of his background, hopefully leading the utility forward with his, leadership credentials?
Well, I mean, obviously he's a strong administrator. I mean, he has proven that over the last 4 years over at City Hall, being the chief operating officer. I mean, it's run very well. Any criticisms that have been leveled at this administration did not filter down to Doug McGowen. He is well respected, as both TaJuan and Chris said. And one of the things that I think that he's going over there to do is to make MLGW a little bit more responsive, not just to the customers, but also to the administration. Sometimes the MLGW can be an island unto itself. And sort of marching by its own way. And I think that that's likely to change. The cliques and niches over there are going to have to be dissolved a little bit, and I think Doug McGowen is the person to do it.
And TaJuan, as a former city council member yourself, I mean, 12-1 said, we don't need to go outside. We have our person right here. What do you think that says about Doug McGowen and the fact that the city council, minus one member, was pretty unified in that decision? Well,
let me say this. I do agree with the council for slowing the roll. The mayor was moving pretty fast, but they slowed it down so people could get to know Doug McGowen and his background, his resume. I never knew he was an engineer until all of this took place. And I think that was good for the public because the public needs to have confidence in Doug McGowen as well, and especially if he is going to be effective over there. And Otis is right. All for Memphis Light, Gas, and Water think that they are an island to themselves and their own bureaucratic entity.
Right.
And they are not. They are a creature of the city of Memphis, and they also have some responsibilities to the state for what they do.
Right.
So,
yeah, certainly.
I think this battle put them in check.
I think so too.
And Doug McGowen said he will still be part of the mayor's council, be part of leadership decisions every Friday to kind of bring MLGW in closer with other city entities. So that was a point of emphasis as well earlier this week. Well, a great start, a great early discussion. We'll leave that topic there. And coming up after the break, Election Day is Tuesday. And while competitive races may be rare in the Mid-South, there's still some noteworthy constitutional amendments in the Mid-South states for voters to consider. We'll break it down after the break.